Hello, this is Dawn Moore, and I chose to do my online classroom activity on geometry in first grade. So I set this is the home page, and I set it up into different folders. The first one is the teacher information folder, and when students click in here, they have a section where they can ask me questions, teacher contact information if they needed to get into contact with me, and there's also a introduction PowerPoint, which just lets the students get to know me a little bit better. And it'll come up here in just a second. So on this PowerPoint, it tells some information about me. It again lists some contact information and just has some pictures of some fun activities that we've done in first grade. So that would be the teacher information folder. The next folder is the Getting Started folder. This is where they can learn about the course, what to expect. This slide tells them a little bit about what they are going to be learning and gives them the standards we would be working on. There's also a what do I do first explanation, so the students would know how to get started, and also an introductory activity. In the introductory activity, they'll see a slideshow that at the beginning would tell them information on what to do for the activity, and then a few slides in it actually gives them examples. So what they would do is they would create a slideshow with just pictures. The words would not be in theirs yet, and they would show some different pictures of themselves, and at the end they would create a slide that explained what the different pictures were, what was happening in each of the pictures. Then they could go into other student slides, and they could make some comments or some questions on their pictures. Like this one, Jennifer wrote, "What are you painting?" Sally wrote, "Where did you learn to paint?" They could type any kind of question. They could make a connection, anything they wanted to talk about in those slideshows. So that would be their introductory activity. The next folder is the General Information folder. And in this folder, there is a PowerPoint for the classroom policies, which just explains to them classroom policies, collaboration policies, things like that, discussion board policies. So they could just click through here and learn about all the different policies for this course. And then the second thing in this folder is the syllabus. And they could just look and see any information they need to know about the course, including assignments, different activities. So that's the General Information folder. The next folder is the meat of the whole lesson. This is the Geometry Unit folder. This is where you're going to find all the different lessons, the assessments, all the activities. So they could begin in the pre-assessment folder. There's a KWL chart they could fill in. There is a pre-test they could take that is true, false, and they could go through and answer the questions to see what they already know. And after they've taken the pre-test, there's a goal setting page where they can go in and they can determine how many questions they got right, how many questions they got wrong, what their goal is for the assessment at the end, and what they need to do in order to get there. So that is that folder. After the pre-assessment, they could begin with the first lesson, which is reviewing shapes. And in here, every folder would start with the essential question and the Common Core standards, and it would just look like this for everyone. It has the essential question for that lesson and the Common Core standards that will be hit on during that lesson. And then each folder also has some activities such as videos, games, So this one would start with a video.
This is Lobster Fest at Red Lobster, with exciting new dishes like dueling lobster tails and lobster truffle mac and cheese. Classics like Lobster Lover's Dream are here too, so enjoy these 10 lobster-licious dishes while you can, because Lobster Fest won't last.
Students could access these videos anywhere that they can access the course. So there are a couple of videos. There's a game, there's a class scavenger hunt, there's a home scavenger hunt, and then at the end there is some kind of an assignment or a project for each, and some of the folders also have a discussion. So this one has a discussion that they could also discuss shapes that they see in their everyday life, and this one has a shape identification group project that they would work on with a group, and they would have been given some name shape cards, and they would have to go around in either their classroom or in their school and label some of each of these shapes, and they would take a picture and create a Google Doc or some kind of presentation where they show the names of the shapes to show that they have learned the names of the shapes. This folder is actually a review from the year before, but in order to be successful we need to make sure they understand their shapes. So then they would get into the attributes of the shapes. Once again, we have the essential question page. This one has a defining and non-defining attribute smart file, which looks like this. In it, there are some different activities. It talks about defining and non-defining attributes. There are some links they can click on to see videos or play a game. And a little post-assessment to that. This post-assessment would not be graded. There is actually a graded one coming up later. This also has an Edpuzzle. I like this site because it has videos, but you can actually you can watch the video, but you can incorporate some questions of your own. So when they get to the question, which is labeled down here with a question mark, they would actually come over here and answer the question. We have some questions linked in here. And it has, at the end, there is an attributes of shapes assignment. And this one, they would create 2 word clouds using Wordle.net. One of the clouds they would fill with defining attributes of shapes, and the second one they would fill with non-defining attributes of shapes. So that would be the activity for that lesson. Lesson 3 is about composing shapes, and in this file we once again have the essential question and the Common Core standard. We have a video. We have an interactive shapes website that they can go to, and what this does is allows them to use the pattern blocks, and they can bring them out and they can actually rotate them around so that they can compose different shapes. And there will be activities involving that website. So their partner activity would be to use the interactive pattern blocks and complete this with a partner. They're going to use it, create a screencast of them and their partner composing a variety of shapes, and there are directions down here with how many shapes that they would have to use to create which shapes, and during that they could explain how they were creating it, what shapes they were using, things like that, to create their own screencast. And then once again there's another discussion board. And lesson 4 is partitioning shapes. This is when we get more into fractions with shapes. There's the essential question and the Common Core standards. There are some videos, a game, and another activity. And in this one, they would actually create a video of themselves explaining how to partition shapes into halves and quarters. And they would be open to using a variety of different things. They could actually use pattern blocks in the classroom. They could use the interactive pattern blocks. They could show this on paper. They have a lot of options there. So that would be lesson 4. And then after lesson 4, then they would have their summative assessment. And in this one, they have some where they have to type in a short answer. There are also some when they are given multiple choice questions. And once they have completed this, they can go back to their goal setting and see if they've met their goals or not, and discuss why or why not they think they met their goal. And then last is the resources page with the different resources used to create these lessons. So after that, we could go back to the main screen. And the next one is the community discussion forum. And in here there are some discussion questions that they could answer, beginning with introducing themselves. We also have a resources folder that lists all the resources that parents could use to help their children at home and to stay connected with the teacher. We also have the Schoology library. This is the last folder. And in here there are some Schoology resources to help them to navigate Schoology, or if they're having a problem with Schoology, helps them to know what to do. So this is my online learning, and hopefully by the end of this, students would have a wide understanding of geometry in first grade, and especially with shapes and partitioning shapes. Thank you.